the end of this school year, but we're also here to celebrate the retirement of 4 of our colleagues. And Cheryl Isley, Roger Wood, Ray Mueller, and Norma Bleeker. And so what we'd like to do is bring up one person to speak on behalf of each of our colleagues. I'd like to start with Cheryl Isley and Nancy Davis.
Can everybody hear me? Most people don't have trouble hearing me. I'm probably better off without the mic.
We'll know later.
All right. Okay. All right. Cheryl, I have to say that I've known Cheryl for 31 years. Cheryl came to Stockton 31 years ago as a student, and she was in 35. Oh, that's right. She's been here as an employee 31. So half my life I've known Cheryl. And that's pretty scary. Actually, more than half. But anyway, so Cheryl comes as a student, and it's the very first class, well, that I've taught, maybe the second. And I had this group of nurses, and I probably was the world's worst teacher. I was right out of graduate school, and I decided that they should be learning everything I learned in graduate school, so I was loading tons of work on them. And I remember doing this, I was really very heavy in medical ecology, and they were looking at me like, what are you teaching us? And but anyway, it turned out very well. And Cheryl was the star pupil. There were quite a few star pupils in that first class. They were very unique people. But Cheryl went on and got her master's degree at the University of Pennsylvania after she left Stockton, and then came back to Stockton and was very important in implementing a lot of the changes that have occurred in the nursing program over the years. And as you all know, Cheryl has coordinated the nursing program for many years, and she's done an amazing job. I don't think many people appreciate the number of hours and the time that she's put into Stockton. She is so dedicated to this college as well as to the nursing program. She not only that, she is one of the most giving people. If anybody, if you could talk about a stereotype of the good nurse, not the nurse Ratchet, the good nurse. Cheryl, she is just an exceptional person. When anybody in the faculty is ill and she can do anything for them, she is there at their side. She was with Carol Slocum for so much of the time that she was sick, and I know she really made the end of her life better because of her caring feelings and the comforting. And she's just except I can't tell you, I admire Cheryl almost more than anybody I know. She is really an exceptional person. She's very smart. She's very caring. She thinks she's selfless. She doesn't think about herself at all. She thinks about the other people around her. And also she's a lot of fun. She's just not a boring academic. And I promised I would only talk for an hour. But I'm really sad that Cheryl's leaving. She's done so much for us here at Stockton and the nursing program, which will not be the same without her. But we will carry on. And thank you for the big attendance here, and thank you, Cheryl, for being my colleague and student.
Is this recorded? That's it. Well, I can't believe I've actually been here for 31 years. I look at some of these faculty and how young they look, and I think, gee, I must have looked that young when I started here. I wasn't more, but I did at one time. And the interesting thing was, when I was hired, we had the person that was in charge of the program was Dr. Alma Woolley, and she could put the fear of God in you in just a look. And when she called me to see if I would like a job here, I thought there was something wrong with my degree and she was taking it back. And when she said, this is Alma Woolley, I was like, oh my God. But turned out to be a wonderful mentor, and I really am certainly glad that I came here. I appreciate all of the people that I've worked with in nursing, Nancy, Linda Aronson, Michelle, and of course Mary Ellen Florence. We've all worked together so long that when we have meetings, we kind of finish each other's sentences. You know you've been together too long when you start doing that. But I really appreciate this, and I appreciate the opportunity to teach here at Stockton. And thank you very much. And I hope to come and visit sometime, and you can always come and visit me. Bye.
So on behalf of the union and all of your colleagues and friends, we'd like to give you this small token of our appreciation. Thank you. Okay, to say a few words about Roger Wood, I'd like to invite Margaret Lewis. Where's Margaret? Oh, there you go.
Trust me, if I didn't write it, it would be longer.
Yes.
So I know everybody knows, Roger was a Mayflower faculty member, and he's been faculty assembly president. He's been the only full professor we had in biology for many years until Pete Stroud. There's lots of things I could say about him, head of research and conservation at the Wetlands Institute. So I decided to come up with 5 things you might not know about Roger Wood. I think I need to a little lower. Roger is responsible for saving the lives of thousands of babies. Baby diamondback terrapins, that is. In 1989, he launched a project to rescue diamondbacks during their nesting season. Now our streets are dotted with turtle crossing signs. Injured mama turtles are nursed back to health, and for those who don't make it, their eggs are hatched and their babies' heads started before eventually being released into the wild. Number 2. Roger appears to be a mild-mannered professor of zoology at a public liberal arts institution in southern New Jersey, but in reality, he is an Ivy League demagogue. So branded by local crabbers due to his efforts to get a 99-cent turtle excluder to be required components of crab traps. This graduate of both Princeton and Harvard produced research so compelling that in 1998, New Jersey requires diamondback terrapin turtle excluders since 1998, turtle excluders on their commercial style crab pots. Number 3. Where actually is Roger? Right here. Okay. You were sitting next to me before. Now you're sitting next to my husband. Okay. Number 3. Roger has a talent for naming things. Sure, he and his wife Gary named their kids. But what I'm really talking about here is taxonomic names, species, genera. So here's just a selection from dozens of names that Roger has named. Turkana pattersoni, named after the Turkana region of Kenya, and Professor Brian Patterson, who with then graduate student Roger Wood was the first to collect fossils in this region in the early 1960s. Albert Woodamese testudinum, named for one of the founding fathers of modern vertebrate paleontology, Dr. Albert Wood, who just happens to be Roger's dad, and who has a name that really lends itself to being a great genus name, unlike mine. Stupendimes geographicus. And that leads me actually to my 4th thing. The world's largest turtle was discovered and named by Dr. Roger Wood in the 1970s. That's in the Guinness Book of Records, that is right. Stupendimes geographicus, a turtle with a shell over 8 feet long. And since then, I think they found specimens that are even over 10 feet, I believe. It lived about 5 to 6 million years ago in Venezuela. You can see this stupendous turtle hanging on display way up in the air. Why they put a turtle in the air, we don't know. Way up in the air on the 4th floor of the American Museum of Natural History. You can see it hanging there. Just a great name. All right. Yeah, probably. And number 1 in this last one, or number 5 in this last one, you probably do know, Roger has had a huge impact on the world. As a conservationist, he's worked tirelessly to save the Atlantic coastal wetlands. As a paleontologist, he's made major contributions to our understanding of turtle evolution and helped establish the movement to use paleontological knowledge to further conservation efforts. As a teacher, he's changed lives, such that Stockton produces an unusually high number of individuals going to graduate school in vertebrate paleontology and turtle behavior ecology and evolution. It's very trendy. And these are all individuals who came here on a different career path. As a colleague, he's always been there for us, both as a model of someone who can really do it all, excellence in teaching, research, and service, and as someone who did it not to receive special recognition, but because he loves what he does for a living. So here's to you, Roger. May you have many more years of fine wine, fine food, and loving what you do.
Well, I don't think we want to lose sight of what's important, and remember this is a union party, so I'll just take a minute to refresh your memories about the origins of our union, because when Stockton opened, there wasn't any union that represented us. The New Jersey Education Association sort of thought they represented us, but it wasn't really clear that they did, and so I think it was maybe in the spring of 1972, there were two trailers parked out here. One was an NJEA trailer, and the other was an American Federation of Teachers trailer, and they were the only two guys who were interested in trying to unionize us. And that's so far back in time, I don't remember for sure, and I don't have the courage to make up facts because some of you here probably know that. It served me well as a teaching tool, however. I think that the state of New Jersey required that we have union representation. Sort of an interesting thing to know about, since I think I remember 4 strikes since we organized, and the first strike I remember I was really nervous. We were all really nervous. I think I was the president of the faculty assembly then. And people were coming to me and saying, you know, are they going to fire half the faculty? This was a time when not many people had tenure. This was early in Stockton's history. And everybody was pretty edgy about it. And eventually things were sort of averted at the last moment. Everybody agreed to hug and kiss and make up. And there were no penalties or things like that. And so it wasn't too traumatic after all. And then we had another strike action that lasted a day or two, I guess. And you know, the strikes that we've had have never been really, you know, we haven't been locked out for 6 months or anything like that. And so I got to the point where I said, geez, another contract year, wonder how long it's going to take before the strike is averted at the last moment. Now, things are a lot more serious now. I appreciate that. And I wish you all good luck as you go ahead. Are there dues for emeritus professors?
Not yet.
Not yet is the answer. Well, maybe I'll make some turtle-shaped cookies. It's been interesting the last few months because everybody I meet in the hallway said, I thought you retired already. And I'm not too sure how to interpret that, but every interpretation I can think of isn't too favorable towards me, so I won't go through the list. I will miss students. I won't miss grading. I'm not going to miss, I can't think of a meeting that I've ever been to that I wouldn't have minded missing. So, you know, it's like the rest of life, there's some good things and some bad things. In the first 10 years of Stockton's history, I got really ticked off at the administration on 2 different occasions, and so I sent resumes around to places that were offering jobs, and I went on a bunch of interviews. And what I discovered was several things. First, Stockton had the greatest benefits of any place that I ever interviewed at by far, and I'm about to take advantage of some of those, so I'm glad I stuck it out sort of. But second, I interviewed at some places where basically if I'd gone to those universities, I would have been sort of in the middle of a departmental war, where half the department wanted to go in one direction and half the other department wanted to mostly go home and not do much of anything. And, you know, just, they were situations that were obviously not good places to go. And then I think, well, you know, be back in the friendly confines of NAMS where everybody knows everybody else and you're all friends and, you know, everybody speaks to each other on a regular basis, that seemed to be not the norm for the rest of the world. So I think probably the other thing that I'll miss at Stockton will be you guys.
Well, once again, on behalf of the union, your colleagues and your friends, we'd like to have a small party gift on to thank you for all your hard work and many years of dedication. Okay, next is Ray Mueller, and Michael Holzick is going to speak. Briefly.
Actually, my opening line was, I got an email from Sue saying, would you make a few brief remarks about Ray Mueller? And I went, faculty member, brief remarks, particularly this faculty member, seems unlikely. And particularly when it's somebody like Ray Mueller. Oh. Anyway. How do you say a few brief words about someone who's been a keystone for our program and a critical part of my life at Stockton for more than 30 years? Ray came to Stockton in 1978. That was my third year at Stockton. And he quickly became the go-to guy in the program. Somehow, Ray is the person who can get all sides on any issue talking to each other and somehow reach a consensus. He'll also tell you what you need to know, even if it's not what you want to hear. Sometimes I think he's wrong when he tells me that, but usually not. And he provided a strong center for the environmental studies program. Outside the college, Ray has been involved with what is now called the National Resources Conservation Service, I think, and has been a leader in soils policy in South Jersey for quite a while. They're going to miss seeing him. Ray also, of course, has been involved in his archaeological research, a new direction. He came here as a remote censor and is now doing archaeological research that's rather impressive. Most of you who know Ray knows he likes to get students in the field. We like to say Ray enjoys playing in the dirt. For years he ran a 5-week Rocky Mountain field trip with me. Fortunately, our styles and teaching styles and attitudes were pretty similar. How many of you knew that Ray was a medic in the Air Force? Just a few hands. Well, Ray was the medical officer on all those field trips. That meant he was the one who dealt with taking our hemophiliac to the emergency room for factor VIII, I think 3 times. He was the one who dealt with the worst case of blisters the doctor in the ER said he had ever seen in 20 years of practice. And then Ray was the one who got to deal with one of our students who thought it would be a good idea to whittle as he's walking down an uneven trail. Predictably, he slipped, slashed his arm right down to the bone, and Ray whisked him off to the ER. If you give Ray a beer, you can get him talking about Rocky Mountain field trip stories at the drop of the hat. And you might ask him about the Grand Canyon and where's Lisa? We almost lost one there. Ray also learned to deal with bureaucracy in the Air Force. And if you have gotten to know Ray, you know he can be a guerrilla fighter for the bureaucracy. My favorite one was shortly after we moved into the Arts and Sciences building. And our offices were freezing. The heat wasn't working. I think the temperature was about 50 degrees in my office. We all complained about it. Ray fired off an email to the dean saying, "It's 50 degrees in my office, it's too cold to work, it's unhealthy, I'm going home, I'll be back when we have heat." And left. The next morning, we all had space heaters in our offices. Ray is also a man of action. On one of our Rocky Mountain field trips, here we are in a beautiful national park, pristine scenery, and some of our students are playing a boombox at what I thought was deafening levels. Ray and I looked at each other, we both grimaced, and he said, in a very loud voice, over top of the music, "Turn that down or I'll destroy it." It went down. And then it creeped back up. And Ray got up, and he walked over to the boombox, and I think he really was aiming for the stop button. But he got about 5 buttons with his fist. And we never heard that boombox again. Now, Ray's enthusiasm for taking students into the field has not diminished as he has progressed in his career. Just a few weekends ago, he took students in his geomorphology class to upstate New York. They camped out at his and Sandy's house in Naples. And Ray is very concerned about our students' physical fitness. He wants to make sure they get enough exercise. So their first task at arriving at his house is to take the firewood, which has been dumped at the end of the driveway, and carry it up to the patio. Now, the first year he did this, the students had carried most of the firewood up to the patio when one of them finally discovered there was a wheelbarrow. Ray, never at a loss for a teachable moment, pointed out how important it was to examine and be aware of your surroundings. Ray also doesn't have a whole lot of patience with students who have excuses for late work. One semester, on the day of the final exam, Ray walked into class and he said, "You know, I've had all this grading work to do, and I've had some committee work, and I had some family issues, and I just wasn't able to get your exam ready for today. Now, since I've let you hand in so much of your work late, I'm sure you won't mind if we reschedule the exam till next week." Well, I'm sure it'll shock all of you to know the students didn't greet that with enthusiasm. Now, Ray carefully squirreled the exam away in a drawer, a locked drawer, so that he could pull it out, but he let them sweat for a while. My program colleagues and I have many fond memories of Ray. His retirement is going to leave a huge hole in our program, and a very empty feeling in my own personal gut. Best wishes, Ray. We wish you well, and we will miss you.
Lisa in the Grand Canyon got lost, took a wrong turn, and thought she was going to die. But we did find her, so that we got them all back alive. Oh, we are in Grand Canyon. Sorry about that. One of the big things. Oh, I have one thing. I've gotten all these emails about you'll really enjoy life in the slow lane and enjoy the greener pastures and stuff like that. And I said, could we relax those? It makes it feel, we're all retiring. We're not dying. Right. The greener pastures feel like I'm going to be underneath or something like that. That's not the way it works, I hope. And so one of the big things is that over the past 30, 40 years is that one of the things I think I appreciated the most was not events like this, but not so much the specific events of coming together to eat and drink, but the fact of getting together with people. I think I've learned more since coming to Stockton than I ever did through all the years of college and graduate school and stuff like that, is the ability to interact with people from a variety of different fields. I feel so fortunate in having come to Stockton rather than someplace where, you get put in a niche and you end up talking to people who all think and, study the same stuff. And so I've been around mathematicians, theater people, art historians, who art historians and I have a long history of preserving the last remaining useful slide projector at Stockton College. So Kate and I go back on that, so on and so forth. And so I think one of the big things is that, in retirement, one of the big things is that as Roger said, I am really going to miss all of you and the enjoyment of being around and enjoying your company and learning things from a whole host of different people. So thank you very much for being friends and colleagues all these years.
Once again, on behalf of the union, your colleagues and your friends, we have a small token of our appreciation. Thank you. Thank you.
And the annual plant sale will continue even though I'm gone.
Okay, and for Norma Bleecker, we have Kim Lebec.
So I feel like I'm a bit of the anomaly here because everybody's talking about people that have been here for 30 years since the beginning, Mayflower faculty. And in the School of Education, we've only been around for a very short amount of time. And so my colleague, Dr. Norma Bleecker, was hired as one of the first faculty members in the Masters of Arts in Education program in just 2004. So it seems so new. But she came to us with so much wealth and so much information that has made this program so strong. And I've been so happy to be able to work with her. Since 2004, she has taught so many of our courses, and I have never met such a dedicated instructor. She is so prepared for every class. I had the opportunity to co-teach with her on several occasions, and before every class she'd say, we gotta get together, we gotta spend time planning, and we spent hours planning each class. And that's the type of dedication that she put into every one of her courses. She also would go out and meet with her students. She'd drive miles and miles and miles from school district to school district to see her students in practice. And I can't imagine how many miles you logged on your car going all over South Jersey to see the students teaching. Our students have been so impacted by her, and her impact will be positive for so many years, because not only is it our students, but our students are K-12 teachers that really will impact hundreds and hundreds of students in this area. So your impact in education will be felt for so many years. Besides her teaching, she's also been the special ed coordinator since we started the program. And in that role, she has been such a support. There's very few weeks that go by that 11 o'clock at night, we're not on the phone talking about an issue that's come up with a student, talking about problems that are happening, talking about scheduling, talking about who our new dean of the week may be. So we've had so many conversations late at night, and I'm going to miss that so much. We've also learned a lot of different things about Norma along the way. Some of the things we've learned is we better not have a meeting before 11 o'clock in the morning. She teaches at night, and she doesn't really want to be here early. And even if the meeting does start at 11 o'clock, we can't put her on the agenda till about 11:15, 11:30, because we know she'll stroll in at that time, ready to go. I was going to say, a lot of times it's because she's having a manicure or pedicure. The other thing that I've really learned from Norma is I now have name recognition of pretty much every administrator in South Jersey. Norma knows everybody. And not only does she know everybody, she also knows everybody's brother, sister, aunt, uncle, child. So regardless of what comes up in a faculty meeting, we have a story, we get to know who's part of it, and those stories go on and on and on. And so now I feel like in Cape May County, I can name, I may not know what they look like, but I can name who the school administrators are. Norma is going to be very missed. She's been such a large part of the School of Education, such a large part of the creation of the Masters of Arts in Education program. I know personally I'm going to miss her so much. I'm going to miss the calls at night. I'm going to miss the support, the co-teaching, and everything that's gone along with it. She will be very, very hard to choose to fill.
This is going to be first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to congratulate my fellow peers who are retiring. And I just want to say that coming here to Stockton really gave me the opportunity to live my professional dream. Over 40 years ago, I was only 12, but over 40 years ago when I started teaching, I really loved it. And my husband, who I dragged here tonight, used to say to me, you know, when you teach a class of, at the time it was 30 kids in a class, if you teach a class of 30 children, you've reached 30 children. He said, and just think what you could do if, in fact, you went from teaching those kids to teaching their teachers. And so he helped me create this vision for myself. And I was lucky enough to come here and live through that. And we have trained a lot of teachers in the southern part of the state. And I'm really very proud of it because I've been a member of the South Jersey community for almost 35 years, and I feel really good about those people that are out in the field teaching a lot of your kids, our kids. It's really a good promise for the future. So again, thank you.
On behalf of the union, your friends and your colleagues, a small token of our appreciation. Thank you. I thought I would just briefly tell you who I am and why I'm here. My name is Ron Kaplan. I'm the treasurer of the union. No important officer, none of the important officers could be here, so that's why I'm doing this. I do want to just remind you that we have some of the postcards that we're filling out to send to the governor. So please come up and fill out a postcard and take some of the union buttons that say that we are working without a contract since July 2011. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Did you get my crowds? I'm gonna.
Yeah, do that real quick before they leave, and that'll be great. And then, because I know you want to leave in about 5 minutes, right?
Hi, how are you? I'll see you later.